Hello community, welcome to another episode of Blender today / everyday number 1000. I don't know, it's been like a mix of development this week. We had artists, we have VFX, we had Ian, Captain Disillusion, Dalai yesterday going through the code. Today we don't have one guest or two or five, like we had like 4 or 5 people. I don't know, it's a whole team, the whole Blender studio team that is currently working in a new project like made especially for this quarantine time, where you need to work on maybe smaller projects, maybe something that is more feasible and that can keep the community entertained with freely available content. This is not an advertisement today, even though it's hosted on the cloud. It's available for everybody. So to talk about this new project, we have the man himself, the producer of Blender project. Hola Francesco. Ciao Francesco, come vai?
Yes, hi. Thank you for inviting us to... oh my god, yeah, I was watching the live stream in another window, then I saw myself appearing. Okay, now I closed everything. Thank you for having us. And, like as you were saying, this is meant to be something that we are just putting out there for everyone for fun. It's like it came... like the initial conversation actually started with Don when this whole thing of the lockdowns and the situation getting more and more worrying on a global level. We asked ourselves the question, what can Blender do basically for everyone to just make life a bit better? We are not doctors, at least not in that sense specifically, and so maybe there is still something we can do. And so that's where the idea of the whole Open Up initiative on blender.org, that's where the whole idea comes from. So to have this...
Not lockdown, Open Up.
Exactly, yeah. So like what you are doing with the everydays, which is amazing, thank you for doing that. And the stuff that Sibrin is doing with the scripting for artists, which is also super nice to see almost on a weekly basis
on this channel.
And then like with the studio team, we were already kind of nearing the horizon for the end of the Coffee Run production, and so we thought, okay, what can we do next? And we had a few things lined up, but with the fact that everybody has to work remotely and that situation is what it is, then we thought, okay, what if we actually make something that is even more open than what we normally do, and that is really for everyone, and that is something that is entertaining and lighthearted, and that is just like a gift for everyone basically. And so that's when we started working on this concept of the settlers, which went through a few stages of evolution, like we made it up as we were going, and so basically that's it turned into what you start to see now today.
It's
for the
like
first
a universe.
Time we're actually releasing something.
Yes, it's like a universe. Looks like many characters from the same, like I don't know, like the Looney Tunes or like.
Yeah, like it's the idea now, like it's getting a bit more concrete. So it's to create indeed like something. It's a collection of characters and environments. That's what like the description of the project is essentially, and it's really meant to be something like that we produce fairly fast-paced, and that is meant to be very accessible, that anyone can just download and play around with it without too much hassle. Because sometimes when we make like the open movie projects, like the amount of work and sweat and tears that goes into those scenes and into the characters, the level of quality that we cram into those things, then if you just want to get the character and play around with it, it's not that fun,
Yeah.
It's like, it takes a long time to interact with it. So this was really meant to be more, accessible in a way, and indeed like to have different characters with like slightly different styles, different designs. They still feel like they belong together. So like as a concept, this idea of settlers, a character that goes somewhere and does fun stuff.
Does something, But it's not one outside character. This is the first one of many to come, as long as the lockdown lasts.
Yeah, that's the general idea. And like this character took a little bit to make because we were figuring out some stuff, pipeline wise, but especially process wise.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you are showing like what is.
I'm showing a little bit of the Blender Cloud that is being shared on the Blender Cloud Twitter account. But again, everything you've seen probably some video to the community. You've seen some videos on this channel, on here on the Blender Foundation YouTube channel. And more videos are planned to be added here, but they are at the moment like the latest that everybody is adding as they're making it. It's on cloud.blender.org, again available for everybody. You don't even need to have an account or a Blender ID. You can just download it.
Yeah, and that's like where the constant like daily stream of stuff is. So I'm always encouraging everyone to be like, please upload everything, just put it there. And you know, I think it's really cool because you see this project is growing super fast. So just as a quick example, I don't know if we can go there.
Yes, I am on the cloud.
I wanted to just give a special shout out to Vivian, who is like our concept artist. She's been helping out a lot in the Coffee Run project, and she's also helped a lot to kick this off. She made a lot of the designs and a lot of experiments. So on the cloud, there is a concept art folder, and you can see kind of the pool of ideas that we are drawing from as we try to make these characters, So you see this the one that we have now is called Lunte. And you know, it comes from there, and what I find very fascinating is that you can really see the process. You have these settler explorations with like, you know, dozens of designs, and then we pick one, and then we go like, okay, what does it take to really make it more fleshed out? And so you can see a bit of our process here, and I think it is really nice to be able to work with someone that works on that level and that helps to explore conceptually like what the character is before it goes into the CG pipeline. And so yeah, I just want, you know, everyone to see this because I think it's really cool. And also like to see the annotations, like when she works, you know, together with Julian and everyone else, like to really review the character. I love that stuff. So
I love
I'm
it.
happy that it's there.
And the videos are mainly on like the part of using Blender, but there's also like the setup, like at the very beginning of the character, right? Like how even to approach the modeling of that. That's something I really like. That video is also here on the cloud, with Julian especially talking about this. It's a little segue.
Oh,
hello. I don't. Is there anything else to add, producer?
No. I think that's exactly like I think the reason why it's nice to have everyone here is that what we can do is have everyone like to just kind of cover a little bit their process for making this character, and you know, to get their perspective, and that's I think gonna be super interesting. So yeah, I don't have anything to add. I will just be hanging around, and then if there are any questions or if there is anything, I can say something.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also interested in not only on the Blender part, but also the producing part, because you're following everybody on the team every day, seeing with like art dailies and see how like daily meetings, I guess, and also. And there was actually a question, because everybody, you can ask questions to the team that are going to be answering towards the end of the show. It's on blender.today, but also you can find it on the description of this video. You're going to find the thread where you can ask questions. And actually one of them was about, no, these ones are about rigging, but there was one on the chat about the producing and how this is all handled here together. So if you have questions in the live chat, please go to blender.today. You're going to find this thread is also in the description about how even to make this kind of, how to produce this kind of content so fast. So thank you, Francesco. I hope you stick around. Maybe
I will.
We're gonna wave, so in case you need.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
All right. So our next guest, all the way from the same city, Julian Kaspar. Hello. Applause.
Good to be back.
Good to be back again. So, yes, it's been a while. So what have you been up to in this project? What's your role in here?
My main role for the Settlers project is basically just modeling. So, I mean, it's all a bit intertwined, like with the discussions going on. But yes, I'm modeling the characters. So far, the first character called Lunte.
An only character so far?
Yeah, I am already working on the next one, actually. I wish I could upload the videos like really on a daily basis, but I'm like really spending a little bit of time in the morning just to edit some stuff quickly together, just to push it on the cloud.
I think we, like in this channel, we have over like more than a video per day average, so it's okay. And on the cloud, I think people also have plenty of content. So how does it go? How do you even go with with how do you even start modeling something like this with this weird shape?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. These characters are like from the beginning we knew, okay, this is on a budget. This is with very little time available, and it's just a little experiment to share with others and just to try out some weird stuff. It's way more abstract and cartoony in style. And so it was really interesting at the start that we, like Vivian made a lot of sketches, and we tried to kind of hone down on like, okay, what are the limitations that we even have to work with? So there was a lot of back and forth with like, how do we model, rig, shade this? How do we make this thing? And yeah, with Lunte, it's already really interesting how, especially with the face, which is like this really flat setup with curves where you can.
That's a
really...
Suzanne, sorry, behind it. Yeah, it's a Suzanne inside it. Sorry, I'm looking at the video.
Oh, yes. Little Easter eggs.
Yep. Anyway.
But yes, yeah, I hope we can actually make this a bit fun to look at the files as well, just placing like little Easter eggs, just like in the open movies.
So the face, the eyes, is that 2D, 3D? What is it?
I mean, it's essentially a 2D setup. It's made with 2D curves, which are then hooked up to a rig setup. That was definitely one of the challenging parts. I think like the only really challenging part in terms of modeling is just the time limitation. I really need to, like, within a day or a day and a half, I need to have a model that I can push over to Matt, who's rigging it. So just like that we can like share progress as fast as possible so everyone can keep working on it at the same time. But the real meat right now is like figuring out how the facial setup works for animation and rigging, and the style for the shading and texturing, how all that stuff works.
And this will translate to other characters, I guess. The first one is always the hardest one, but once you have you start polishing the pipe.
Yeah, we definitely took a bit more time with the first character, figuring everything out, and there was a lot of back and forth and discussions. But yeah, now with the second character, I think we're able to recycle a lot of the stylistic elements, and we can keep the ball rolling.
Wow, for people that are interested in this, there is already a there is already a playlist here made on this channel where you can start seeing all the process, from the modeling setup to preparing the character and the blocking. But on the cloud is the latest, then on the blender.org it might be at the day later or so, but it's so that was the main challenge. Do you think it was the face? Is it the modeling? Is it like the different blocks? Is it maybe to after working in something so high level like Spring, where all the detail and stuff, and then Coffee Run, even though it's like it's smaller on the screen, so you don't have to add so much detail, you still add some level of detail. But this one has to be fast.
Yeah, I think the scope of the characters is very forgiving. Like it is in theory like a very simple character, but because we are kind of breaking out of our comfort zone with this, trying something new, it is really interesting trying to come up with creative solutions within a minimal amount of time.
Yeah, and at some point you have to jump into sculpting, or do you go back and forth, or you first sculpt it? What is the approach?
That's really interesting because I'm still calling it sculpting, but I am actually just box modeling the character. Like I'm box modeling it, and then switching back and forth between sculpt mode, object mode, and edit mode, just to use all of the tools basically at the same time. So it's all in the videos. I still kind of separated it into these different steps of blocking, sculpting, and then cleanup or retopology.
Yeah.
But it's far the borders are so blurry because it's almost happening all at the same time. And
especially because you use the latest Blender, and you're also involved with the development team of Sculpt, giving feedback as an artist. So you're using the latest features, such as posting facets. Yeah, I just saw facets.
Yeah, I am actually like, I was recording basically the entire process, and I was working with facets, noticing some things that are a bit difficult to do. And I was like, Pablo Vazquez actually made a shout out for time lapses and like work in progress footage of like someone working with the tools. Yeah. And I was sharing it to him, and I was like saying, hey, like there's like still some difficult areas, some stuff that could work a bit better. And he was like looking at my time lapses and even coming up with new stuff and putting up some patches already. So it's really helpful to like share these videos.
Super helpful. I guess well, you're testing the tools every day, so it really adds a lot. So what is so you're done. You basically start with the modeling and then you switch to the sculpting. What happens afterward? Do you guys go into shading immediately and then animation, but then you need rigging? So how do you even jump from one to the other? Are you even allowed to touch the character after you're done with the modeling and sculpting?
Yeah, right now we have it really set up that everyone is working in their own file, and we're just kind of like at some point I'm just going to be done with modeling, and I can just save the file, commit it, and anyone else can grab the models, which are basically done at that point. I'm not going to touch them anymore, unless there's really like something that's broken and I need to fix it. But yeah, it's we're really careful not to step on each other's toes while working.
Good. On YouTube, by the way, probably the most popular part on the first video was your theme and your add-ons. I don't know if you checked. So do you plan to also share a little bit of your setup at some point?
It would be interesting. I was actually already making some notes of like little things that are worth sharing, like how did I do the key map setup, which is something interesting, where I'm like exclusively using the tools right now, or like the theme is interesting because it's essentially just the default theme, but with some little adjustments all over the place.
The accent color is different. Yeah.
Yes.
It's like
that's something I'm constantly changing.
Awesome. Yeah, it's just not to get bored. Good. All right. And then next step. What happens? You finish the character. What happens to the character? Where does it go? Which department?
I guess the first thing that's being handed over is the rigging with Matt.
Oh, do you know this guy? Hey, hello, Matt.
Hello.
Right there.
Hello there.
Hello. People are cheering for you. I don't know if you get to hear, but hello. So, rigging a character in a day or 2 days. How many days do you have per planned per character?
Like 10 minutes.
Like 10 minutes per character.
I mean, are we asking original plan or reality?
Reality. I always want to go for real.
Okay, reality. Let's say a couple weeks.
Oh.
Because like Julian said, like a lot of these things we've never done before, like this face setup particularly, and so the original plan was I'd say different, but in reality we managed to run into some problems, figure out solutions, and things get smoothed out over like the first week, and then another week of like small tweaks and adjustments and bug fixing.
Wow.
So yeah, let's say 2 weeks, but I mean it's still being changed.
Is this using your own rig? Is it Rigify? Is it a mix?
Kind of a mix. It is using my feature set that I've been working on that uses Rigify. So a feature set for Rigify, because you can develop custom feature sets for Rigify.
It's like a module.
So it is using yeah, exactly. So it's like custom rig elements that rely on Rigify to work, and then you just set up a meta rig, click a button, and it generates a rig for you.
And then a million tweaks to make it like with this weird face and eyes and stuff.
Well, yes, but you have to make those tweaks in the meta rig and then generate again, because you don't want to generate and then make manual tweaks to the generated rig, because then if you want to change something big, then you're screwed, right?
Yes. Wow. So how do you even start with this? Like because before this you are working also on Coffee Run, with a more regular character and face and everything, and
right.
You were also using Rigify with your own modules for the main character of Coffee Run, which is a girl, Rain, which is also based on another character.
Actually, that's only near the truth, because so we sort of started. I was still in the early stages of working on those custom rig modules for Rigify after we were done with Rain, and so I built those rig modules based on Rain, since Rain was made with a lot of feedback from the animators. So that's when I was figuring out what the animators want and what features they tend to use, etc. So the main character of Coffee Run is Hail, which is an alternation of Rain. And she did not use. she did not use the system yet.
Yeah.
But then the sort of background characters, they did use the rig generation stuff. So yeah, this has been in the works for a while, and now it's starting to get into a pretty usable state, and it will be available for everyone at some point. It technically already is.
It is actually. If you want this character, you can find the version 1 already available on characters Lund V1. It's here on the on the Blender cloud, available for everybody. I can even share the link so maybe people can play with it already. And
yes,
remember, people watching, I guess everybody that watches this is already using the latest 2.83 builds, but just in case, it was not gonna work fine in 2.82. 2.82 is all stuff old. Now there are a few nodes and a few things in the shading that are in the rigging maybe also that are from 2.83.
Yes, I'm not sure about the shaders. Simon can talk about that. I don't know if there were any new stuff added in that regard, but for rigging, just a few days ago in latest master we got from I think Cody Winchester,
yes,
masking for the surface deform modifier, which I think is really awesome, and I used it to make the deformation in the arm a little bit better. But because that masking doesn't exist in 2.82, when you open the character in 2.82, that surface deform cage mesh that it was only meant to affect the arms affects the entire model. So it turns into mush.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow.
Use 2.83.
So did you ask for that feature, or just happened to be added and then you're just like, yeah, it's mine, I use it?
I mean, it's something I've wanted for a long time, but no, I didn't talk to Cody Winchester. He just
happened.
Yeah, it just happened. It was a Christmas miracle on April.
Wow. Well, I think a lot of people are very interested in hearing more about this. I hope we can have you on the show maybe at some other point for a rigging session. Rigging is this monster that I don't even like. It's like having a show about UV unwrapping. Like, who will want to do that? There's some crazy people. In this case, it's you. You also like, did you have to code anything? Is there any Python involved besides the whole system that you built, basically? But is there anything in particular that you had to code yourself just for this one character?
Well, I did add a rig module to that feature set that was specifically not for just this character, but for maybe this set of characters, which is the rig that creates a bunch of controls for a curve.
Yeah.
Which maybe you can see on some of the videos. So yeah, it's just a rig where you select a curve, press the generate button, and it will create a bunch of controls in a bone control way, so animators can keyframe the curve and stuff.
Everything. Wow. So would you say that the face was the biggest challenge?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Are you? And
it's still ongoing, pretty much.
What did you learn from this, and what would you apply to future rigs?
I learned not to use curves.
Ha! Hey, that's a big lesson to learn.
No. I am figuring out. Yeah, I didn't work this much or this in depth with curves before, I guess. I mean, I guess because in 2.7 you probably couldn't get away with most of this because you would just be running into dependency cycles all over the place.
Yeah.
But a lot of stuff like that does not happen anymore, so you can actually get curves into your rigs and not have to worry about Blender getting
dependency cycles.
Yeah.
All right. Any limitations, or maybe we can ask the animators about this, the limitations of the rig, how to push the limits of the rig. The next character, you think it's also going to take a couple of weeks, or you think it's more after all this?
Yeah, I think there's going to be some unique challenges with the next character because the face is maybe going to be a bit more complex. Ooh. And as for Lunta limitations, yes, there are. Like, I mean, hopefully this won't be a big problem, but like the inside of the mouth, there's a 2D curve that's used there that is filled, and then that is shrink wrapped onto the mask.
Oof.
But I don't have control over the topology of that mesh. It's just, the topology that you get out of a 2D curve with a surface, which is a triangulated thing.
Yeah.
And so to get enough geometry so that can shrink wrap nicely onto the mask, you need to subdivide the hell out of that.
Yeah.
And well, when you subdivide the hell out of triangles, you get a bit of a disaster.
Yeah. And remeshing doesn't work, like a remesh?
Yeah, it kind of works, but it doesn't keep the edges very well unless you go like really high.
Yeah.
And I thought I wouldn't bother with that because I think we are gonna have a flat shading on that mesh anyways, so the weird geometry hopefully won't matter.
Exactly. Work smart.
Exactly. Yeah, that's definitely the motto for this project.
Awesome.
except instead of work smart, not hard, it's work smart and hard.
And hard, and don't sleep, and you're gonna do fine. Stay safe, wash your hands. There are many mottos for this project.
True.
Awesome. Well, okay, I think it's time to move into the next step. Once your character is rigged, or while the character is rigged, I don't know. I'm gonna ask the animator that is working on this character now. So give it up for the man with the best name of the team, Pablo Fourni. How are ya?
Good, and you?
Fantastic. Great name, great language.
Awesome.
Great lighting. How are ya?
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah. Working. Yeah.
Working. How is it working from home? Enjoying it?
It's weird. It's a weird feeling. Everything takes really longer. You know, like I'm all day doing meetings, and it's driving me crazy. So
meeting and animation, and then back and forth. So how is it even to work on something so fast and with the rigger in a different part of the city?
I mean, I'm just poking him all the time on the chat, like everything that I need. Every time I need something, like I don't know, like a new controller, a new bone, a new whatever, I'm just poking him all the time.
Yeah.
So he's getting really tired of me, but well, that's how it is now, I think.
That's how it is. We're looking now at some of the walk cycle that you just made. What was the main what would you say was the hardest part of animating a character like this? I mean, for people that don't know, you have experience, you work on many movies, you work in the Minions, Life of Pets, also great movies like Spring, Coffee Run.
Of course.
This character.
I mean, this character is it's not that difficult to animate, actually. It's like just doing that a bit more cartoony that we are used to do in the studio, but I mean, like I did already with Rain in the back, like to try the character. I did already some cartoon stuff, and later with the Coffee Run also I tried to push a bit the thing. So it's something I wanted to do, like something a bit more cartoony. So yeah, I mean, it's like something that is starting to be. It was building up since we finished Spring. So
yeah. I think that's the future, right? It's just. Do you find it more fun than to animate characters in this way?
Yeah, for me, it's funnier. Yeah, I think I have more fun trying to do crazy stuff than doing more subtle animation. So. Yeah.
And I also see that you're doing smears a lot. What is that? Is it a mesh? Is it grease pen?
Yeah.
What is it?
Everything started like I wanted to try first like spheres. So like the first test are just like a bunch of sphere edit together. You know, I just like sculpt them a bit and just put them like by scaling them and put them nearby each other. So it gives you like the illusion of the smear. And later I asked the Meter if he could make some mesh. I mean, take like the mesh of Lunte and butcher it and just put it there, and so I can take that leg or that arm and then sculpt over.
Sculpt over the leg. Wow! Yeah. So it's part of the rig that you do this kind of weird stuff.
I mean, it is already there in a collection, so you just have to append it on the file, and then you are able to sculpt everything there.
Wow, is this anything that you would like to have even more? I don't know, being able to have 5 arms or like.
I mean, you can do it because if you open the arm, then you can duplicate it as many times as you want. So because it's already in the file.
Oh, so you could have like multiple heads, multiple arms, multiple everything.
Yeah, I mean it's like the base mesh, so it's not as detailed and everything. But I mean like it. I mean, if it's for smears, it shouldn't be you shouldn't have a problem with it. So, yeah.
Awesome. So, how long does it take you to animate something like this in this style?
I think I did like this work cycle. I did it like during this week, So yeah, I mean, like, I was also like, it was like failing sometimes the rig, so we were having like some like improving stuff. But yeah, I think like a couple of days or something like that.
Wow, from scratch, even starting for the walking. Well, how do you decide which way this character should walk? Like, because it could walk any way. It could walk tired, happy, or like.
Yeah, I mean, like I decided to do something happy because I think it was going to be easier to just having like make him like happy and joyful.
Making something happy is easier.
Yeah, I don't know. It's also, I think, something that it was like with the character. When we were doing this, deciding which character, who was this character, we were seeing that he was like something that was joyful and stuff like that. So I was like, I think that matched. So yeah, I did some variation of it. First, I just put in the arms like kind of grabbing the backpack. Yeah, because I wanted to focus on the legs first and trying to do the smears there. And later I decided to make the arms also. So it was yeah.
So
like
how do you
like the next step?
How do you start to animate something like this? Do you start by the legs because it's a walk cycle, or do you?
Yeah. I usually do the hips and the legs. That is what is in contact with the floor, and is what is going to determine the rhythm of the walk cycle. And later you just go up the chain, so you just continue.
Just go up until the face. The face is the last thing you do, or do you?
The face. I mean, in this case, I just made one pose, and I with the same pose all the time because it was just going to be like a loop of the walk cycle, so it was not going to be something really complicated. But usually, like if I have to do a shot, I can put like some facial. When
expression,
I think that it's going to when some facial expression when I think it's going to make some facial changes, or if I want to put like for example, if it's going to make anticipation, it's going to go down, I can make like a squash face and let it go in or something like that. But yeah, I mean, like the face is when the body is working, then you put the face.
Ah, cool. Do you do it like pose to pose, or do you just go straight ahead?
It depends of the file. In the coffee run, for example, I did most of it like straight ahead because I was like more. I did like a ball and I made the timing with that, and later I put the character, and it was like easier for me to do like a straight ahead just by feeling the movement. For this, it was like something simple, so I just went straight ahead because like also I know how work cycles work, so I know the poses you need to hit, so it's like kind of easy to do it like just. But I mean, like actually, I start like just by doing the pose like this and do the flip, and later I do the middle pose, and later I do the ups and down, and then you have it.
Just flip it, and I guess the more walk cycles that you make, the better, like the easier it gets.
Yeah, later is. I mean, it's not easy if work cycles are not easy, but I mean, at least you know how to do them. So.
At least you know. I really like the walk cycle that you did for the dog in spring, for autumn.
That was a thing also. Yeah.
Sorry.
It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, I think there is. Yeah, actually, if you search for autumn walk on the cloud, you're gonna find actually a tutorial that you did on how to animate the walk cycle of the dog in spring for half an hour.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh. You wanted to be forgotten from Earth?
Yeah. Totally.
4 parts of how to animate. It is really in detail. I think it's I think it's really cool. You don't see these videos usually. You don't see the how to animate things. Well, why do you think it's not very common to see animation? Just a pain?
I don't know. I mean, I hope that people see it and enjoy it. I mean, it's
absolutely, and then they're gonna see that this is real life. This is it takes an hour just going and moving the knee for a bit and then try it again and then again and again. That's real animation. That's real life, showing how it's actually.
Animation is slow.
Yes, and it's a pain.
Yes,
I seen it on a presentation at the Blender conference. Awesome. So we can find your walk cycle on the final file of Lunta, but also there is many different tests that you did, that you save all the different tests for Lunta on the cloud. Awesome. Yep. So animate. So do you animate at the same time as rigging, or like happens, or It's just too dangerous.
First I did some poses to check how the rig was behaving, and during the poses I found, I mean, like we were like having some feedback with the meter, like to fix some stuff, and like this rig, it was still like going back and forth with the meter, but it was like just already more solid the rig. So like this I didn't have to, because the problem is like if you do some wall cycles with a rig that is like to early stages and later is something improving, then you have to redo all the wall cycle again because it's everything is going to break. So it's better to do some poses first, check what you need, check what is missing, and then if the poses they get broken, it's not a problem.
No, and also it all depends on how it's shaded. I guess you need to know in advance how is it character, because if everything is gonna be 2D completely flat colored, maybe you don't even care about intersections and stuff. So at what point do you see the character with the shading? And
I mean, like we had like at the beginning the first sketches and everything that we decided already there that we wanted to go something flatter. Yeah. But I mean, like later when you see the final result is when you bring it to shading. So
to shading. Like, I wonder if we know anybody that is related, is working on the shading. Oh, I think we do. So give it up for Simon. Gracias, Pablo. Simon, how are you? Again in the house.
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, actually. You know that the episode with you and Jack is one of the most popular Blender Everydays we had.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's doing great. Like 25,000 or something views. So.
Yeah, I mean, proceduralism is always interesting to a lot of people.
Yeah. How procedural did you go with this thing? How do you define the shading of this?
Yeah, I mean, because it's stylized shading, there's no huge need for a lot of image textures, I would say. And yeah, I haven't included any yet, because we didn't want to also just to pass the character and the shaders to other people. We wanted to make it as applicable as possible to different situations and not like paint everything on the mesh, because that would have to be redone, and we also want to reuse a lot of the shaders for the following characters to be
so
efficient about the time.
So you need to reuse as much as possible.
Yeah. So yeah, right now it's pretty procedural, I would say.
Pretty procedural, you would say. How did you've been uploading stuff? Like did you went directly with the style like the just cartoon, or did you try, because there is also some semi PVR test on the cloud?
Yeah, that was just the first test to just explore which style we really want to go for, because of course you can settle with the concept art already, but it's always nice to just try out different styles and see if it works or not.
If it sticks.
And that's basically just the part in the process where we just decide which shading we want to go for, which just sticks. Yeah.
Wow. So where can we see your actually on the cloud? We already seen a test with a tongue, which I don't even like. I should see a bunch of nodes in the background. All stuck
the tongue, yeah. I mean, we were thinking, because as the other guys already explained, the phase rig is really the trickiest part about the character, and the problem with having like a mouth that can basically just go anywhere on the face, just over the eyes or anywhere. Doing that with geometry is pretty difficult, because you just have to have a hole in there, and then the meshes to still work around that, and it's pretty tough to do. So we were thinking, okay, how can we just do that with a flat plane for the mouth? And then the decision was, okay, we kind of have to cheat the tongue, just stick it to the bottom lip or something. But yeah, my idea was just, okay, we can kind of fake that in a shader.
The whole
is still work in progress.
So people were like, yeah, maybe add a little geometry, and you were like, hold my beer, here's I'm gonna do this.
I mean the beer is still being held. I'm not finalized with the setup yet, but I'm pretty optimistic about it.
It's just crazy. It's crazy. Like,
yeah, that was just the first proof of concept I did based on the stuff I did for November, actually. It's the same technique I used for a couple of these things, and just applied to a different shape, actually.
Yeah. Wow. It is is crazy. Do you plan to have any more of these crazy experiments in the future?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, for me, that's the most fun part of the process for sure. So I'm looking forward to a lot of complicated issues that I'm going to try to resolve in shaders.
Wow. So we can find on the cloud you have already a video about the tongue. Do you have a video explaining the
Oh, not yet. I mean, you can download the file also for this video in the setup, so you can just check it out. The process behind it is a little bit technical, but at some point I'm definitely going to explain it. First I have to make it work. But yeah, just as a where to look up maybe for people that are interested, it's using ray marching as the technique.
Ray marching.
Yes.
Rays that march. You're gonna make a video about it.
Basically a render engine within a shader, if you want to break it down like that. It's not exactly the case, but kind of.
Wow. Okay. We just had Vivian on the live stream. Vivian is the artist that we already seen her work, the artist that made the concepts, and that she says issues incoming. So apparently she has in mind some crazy designs that will, I mean, they will demand, modern problems require modern solutions. In this case,
all these creative concept artists just creating more and more issues.
So what about we've seen about the character, but then there's also the environment, just because it wasn't just hard enough. So what about the environment? How did you?
Yeah, I mean, we had the walk cycle and wanted to just post something and to show off, to introduce the character and just show what the character is about, and just showing that in front of just a plain gray flat surface is not really that interesting. So we thought maybe just create a small little scene where the character could just walk through. And it's also interesting to just explore the shading for the environment and how it works together with the characters. So I made this environment scene, which you also can download, which we published today with the walk cycle.
So you made the environment as well?
Yeah, there's two files, the character on its own and then the environment with the character, which is like this looping animation.
Nice.
Which we also published today.
Oh, here on the cloud.
That's not the environment that the animation of this character, like the longer actual animation, is going to take place. That's a different setup. This was just a very quick thing to make the walk cycle in.
Okay, but this is actual geometry. You're not gonna tell me like, no, the rocks and the clouds, and then come on, you can just extrude the cube. No, I made it with a shader.
It's just a bunch of areas with kind of flat shading, but yeah, this geometry.
Awesome. And in the end, all the characters are gonna be in the kind of the same environment anyway. So the more environment you make, they can share it.
Yeah, I mean, we're planning to release one environment with each character, as far as I know. So they could be quite different from each other, but the overall style is going to be taken from each one before. Yeah,
you're not gonna go full PBR in another character.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, it's gonna. Awesome. So, what do you learn on this character that you think you're gonna apply for the next one?
Oh, actually, the mouth setup, if this is gonna work, is gonna be very useful, because a lot of the character designs that we've seen have some complicated faces where it could be useful for maybe not only using this for the mouth, or maybe for the eyes to add some fake depth into the eyes, for example. What is the limitation of this? How far can you take it? Rotation? It's actually, you can actually do a lot of stuff with that. I was, as I said before, playing around with that in the November shaders, and I used it for a couple of them, like doing like a hologram of a screw that was just rotating, for example, or creating procedural height maps, so you can randomly rotate a screw and then just get a height map to actually use displacement and stuff like that. It's actually very versatile to use. That's crazy, really crazy. All right, so I think I got all my questions answered, but what about the community? Let's see if there's any questions. I still have some time to start, so thank you, Simon. I think I'm gonna jump into the questions, then move into the community. Wondering, what is the people wondering here? Okay, so the first question is, how do you guys prepare the scene from modeling to rigging then to animation?
So rigging, I guess. How do you prepare it from modeling to rigging, then to animation? Is there gonna be a tutorial about that, like about the whole workflow?
Well, it's a very vague question because different people would do different parts of that, I guess.
Yeah,
I'll answer the rigging part, I suppose. For rigging, the only thing I need to make sure of is that collections are in the right place, named properly, and collection visibility is correct. But I mean, if I mess that up, I can fix it.
Yeah.
Modeling?
I think it would be interesting to put out a little video on, like, in my videos that I made, I did at first start off with like a couple videos talking about the overall character project and the limitations and the setup, but making an extra little video just outlining the pipeline of how we moved from how we were moving from file to file, making these characters could be pretty interesting.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's actually not too different from what we were using in Spring or in Coffee Run. So if we're ever if there are videos about that on those projects, then they are very much applicable to this project as well.
The same.
Watch Andy's Blender conference.
Yes.
Oh yes.
That's pretty much that should answer the question in more detail than.
So you're using SVN.
Yep.
Okay. Watch the production pipeline of Spring by Andy Goralczyk. Really is all the secrets you will ever need about how films are done at the Blender studio. And in general, I think. So will there be any rigging, some rigging walkthroughs?
Maybe.
That I will take that as a yes. Thank you. Next question says, also for you, Matt. It says, when rigging a character with props, do you make a separate armatures for each so they can have different actions, or just one rig with everything in it?
I haven't rigged the character with props. Coffee Run.
Ever in your life?
I mean,
come
we
on.
had like
no,
Coffee Cup in Coffee Run, but yeah, I would say in those cases, yes, the prop would be a separate rig, and then it would be up to the animators to parent the rigs together in their own file.
Just parent them together.
Yeah, unless it's like something very simple that you can just include in the rig, like the backpack, of course, would not be a separate rig.
That's part of the character, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, next questions. Why don't you guys do another VFX short and push Blender to handle more complex VFX stuff like digit doubles, motion capture, etc.? Francesco, I guess we can. Why don't you guys make another multi-hundred thousands VFX with artists and
let me check. It's, I mean, it's a fun topic because sometimes it comes up, you know, it's like it's really, you know, this was Tears of Steel really the once in a lifetime project, and you know, there are like still plenty of improvements to that pipeline that could be done. You know, there is no concrete plan. We've been talking with, you know, Blender is out there. Lots of people use it, and we often talk with really talented people that do that kind of work. And maybe one day, you know, it would be. I think that for Blender it would be very good. For what the studio is doing currently, it's like a bit difficult to combine, like the different artistic sensibilities and like the kind of pipeline that we are focusing on right now. So I wouldn't say that it's never gonna happen again. They're like the good memories.
But so let's see, it has over 2 million views, which is really good. 2 million views.
Yeah.
So if we reach 10 million within the next
that's
day,
that's great. Yeah, awesome. Then we can talk about it.
Then we can talk about. We can start in it.
Yeah, it's a very difficult question because like, what are we gonna do next? Like, it's already like, you know, it's something that we are trying to plan out, like with more continuity. Like, we definitely want to have a larger project for the upcoming months. So it's it's a lot of scheduling. So I don't think it's impossible, but I think it's definitely not this year, I would say.
Okay, thank you. Next question is about, hi, this is awesome. Would we be able to change the expressions of the characters, make them talk like a face rig? Yes, I would say, right? They have a face rig, so we can change the expression. So the fact that it's still here, is it an artistic decision by the animator, or?
Yeah, I mean, like we decided not to have any talking in the. I mean, it's just a wall cycle, so it's not going to talk. But like the animations that we have prepared later, they are going to be more like body mechanics oriented, so they are not going to talk. But of course, you can make them talk. Just open the mouth and close the mouth.
Yeah, and the eyes.
Talking already.
The eyes and the moving and everything is. So everything is there.
Yeah.
Everything needed, it's there. Next,
yeah, they have teeth inside, they have tongue, they have everything. So yeah, sure. Make them talk.
Artistic decision. And have you found a solution for the 2D mouth tongue of the character? Yes, this actually was Simon was explaining. I saw that there were some experimentations. A grease pencil object would work great, but it will need to be projected or wrapped on the model. So grease pencil, was it ever an option? Did you even tried it, or do you think like in general, I don't know who even to talk to this because it's modeling, but also rigging, everything, animation even.
It was there on the table at the beginning, but later we decided to go for like shapes instead of grease pencil. So
yeah, there was some limitation with it. We were talking about it specifically because of the mask modifier, or like the mask effect, where you can have like basically a window and then have like objects behind it. But yeah, Matt, was there any specific limitation with the rigging?
I forget.
There was something that made it just fall off the table.
I think because we couldn't hook it up to bones, maybe. Yeah, I don't remember. We haven't looked into it in too much detail.
Okay, so it could have been an option.
Yeah, it could have been.
So the next comment says by Kai Mueri, who is also a Blender Cloud subscriber and the Blender Development Fund supporter, so thank you for that. It's I wanted to say a huge thank you to the whole Blender team. You're making the best out of the current situation and just keep giving more awesome stuff to the community. That's nice, thank you. I am currently working on a graduation film with my buddies, which is entirely made in Blender. It will also be a highly stylized cartoon series like the Settlers. It's cool to see the progress of our movie and Settlers happening in parallel, so no direction to the team, just a huge thank you for making this time a little bit more endurable. That's super nice. Let's put someone that on the chat that is actually moving, because we have just Dimitar, which was like still. So thank you.
Thank you very much for
there, this. Smiling people. There, that's nice. Next. Hi everyone, 2 cheeky questions. First one, what is the correct way of handling and switches, sliders and switches like IK switching? And so I guess it's a very popular topic, Dimitar. What is the correct way of handling sliders and switches like IK switching?
Wait, let me read the whole of the thing. Yeah, custom property. That's pretty much it. You make a custom property on a bone, and then what I do, I mean, you could just have the custom property and then just tell the animator to go to where that custom property is and animate it. What I do is I have a custom rig UI, so I just with Python I display that custom property somewhere else, where it's all in one place.
Exposing it as like a button directly.
Yeah.
But it could be done with a custom so if you don't even want to code anything, you could just basically add a custom property to a bone that you can access in post mode. So that is like the easy, cheap way to do it.
Yeah, and then you just hook up your IK constraint to a driver. So that is the most basic way to do it. Yes, and then what you can do is you can display the custom property somewhere else in Blender with Python.
Okay, do you think a lot of Python knowledge is needed to make your own custom rig UI?
For me, yes. For anyone, I mean, just to make a simple rig UI, no. You just need the basic Python. Just watch a couple tutorials, and you should be fine-ish, maybe. Yeah, it's not. But I will say my favorite part of like Blender's Python API is making UI code. I think it's really reliable and predictable, so that's pretty nice.
Good. What again, also for you, what rigging feature is Blender currently missing the most, do you think?
The The most. There's so many.
The most. But that one, the most, the one that you say like, I can't work this way. I mean, if you say so many, then you must have a really big experience in all the other state-of-the-art software.
No, I'm not sure. Whatever I would say, I would probably change my mind later on. So I don't know what's missing the most. I will say it would be nice to have more things that can interact with curves. Now that I've had to work with curves, I've been feeling like I'm missing a lot of things when it comes to that. Of course, everyone is like thinking about, how could node-based rigging work? And my answer is I don't know, but it would be cool, sure, but that's not gonna happen for a long time. But yeah, I don't know. I can't answer.
All right, thank you. The next question is about Blender itself, which please ask it tomorrow. We're gonna have developers on the house to answer these kind of Blender questions. This is more for like the team working on Settlers. Like this question by 3D Illusions that says, hi, on the character mouth, how are you maintaining the volume of the bevel curve after shrink wrapping? That's also for you, Dimitar, I think.
How are you maintaining the volume of the bevel curve?
How do you maintain the volume? Yeah.
Okay, I actually made a post about this on the Blender Cloud, which I think is available for everyone, maybe?
Where is it?
It should be on...
Rig generation, curves and shrink wrap. This one?
Probably that one. Yes, so it's a couple paragraphs. It basically uses two curves if you don't count the one for the inside of the mouth. Because, like, I mean, maintaining the volume is not really the issue because, I mean, curves don't gain or lose. I mean, we don't want to maintain the volume in this case because if you want to stretch the mouth out really big, then you want it to gain volume, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't want the little sausage around the mouth to become smaller. So I guess the answer is we don't.
All right.
But what was a bit tricky about that is to make sure that we can shrink wrap the curve to the face without it actually squashing the tube mesh flat. So we just needed an extra curve for that, and that's it.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna reply with the comment. And next question, I have come up with a comment while watching the episode. For a better rig and modeling such a character like any settler, Blender needs some modifier that turns curve/closed curve into one-sided or two-sided geometry. Maybe something like Extrude modifier for curves. A modifier? What would you use a modifier for that?
Turns curve, closed curve into one-sided, two-sided geometry. Okay, maybe I understand. So I think what he means is that if you have a curve with, like, for example, and you have depth enabled on that curve so that it actually represents a mesh, like a tube mesh.
Yeah.
And you're using the modifier stack. What defines whether the modifier is applied to the spline of the curve or the mesh of the curve can be a bit weird. So I can see where this is coming from, I guess.
All right. Thank you. Next question. For the rigger again, Dimitar, will you share the module for rigging the curves on the of the face? Looks sweet.
Yes. Look out for it in future clock.
In a coming days, not weeks or months.
Maybe.
Maybe what? Maybe.
Technically, it's already up there. You just have to find it.
Yeah, exactly. Technically, it's already here on Lunta V1. So.
Well. In Lunta V1, you have an example of it already being used, but if you wanted to apply that to your own rig, it's on my GitHub.
On your GitHub. Okay, can we move that into an open source platform, please?
Yes, it will.
Thank you. Next. The next question is actually for Pablo Furni. Could you show what that workflow for making extra limbs and smears that you mentioned in one of the Klaus videos when you're releasing? Or I didn't quite understand how it works.
I can make a small video if it's necessary, but basically it's like super easy. It's like inside the blend file of Lunte, you have one collection that you can append, and it's called Lunte smears. So the thing is, like, it's just like the mesh chopped in pieces. So you have like the upper leg, the lower leg, the torso, and these things, and then all the elements are separated. So you just can take like the upper leg and the lower leg, and then you duplicate them, and that's it. That's it, because it's already appended. You can
sculpt it. You can do anything.
Yeah, you can sculpt. You can do whatever you want with it.
Good. So, maybe it's fun to make a little video on that, especially if it's so short. Cool. So thank you, Luciano. Next and last question, because I think we are over time. Yeah, we're a little bit over time. So next question, last question says, big thanks for all the hard work shared by the Blender Foundation and the studio. One suggestion regarding the Blender Cloud pricing. Study the chance to make it the signature plan on local currency from foreign users, as Steam does, for example. The economy is going more crazy with the virus. Have it as with different currencies depending on where you are from. I don't know if that's even possible with the current system, or Francesco?
Oh, I wasn't here. Sorry, I was answering in chat. Is it to me?
No, it's to Francesco.
Oh, okay.
Unless you want to talk about the pricing of the Blender Cloud.
You want to talk about the pricing of the Blender Cloud?
No. Sorry, for some reason I heard rigging.
Pricing of the Blender Cloud, like making it in different, available for different.
So
sounds like taxes nightmare.
No, it's like, I mean, I started to Google for it like time ago. I found like a service that they had, like there are some products online that kind of try to apply this kind of fairness factor to selling products and services online. So like they take into account the cost of life, especially when it comes to countries that really have like a big variety. Like, for example, if you're in India, or like if you're in parts of China, or if you're like in those big countries with these big economies that work on a different scale, a product like a $10 product is the equivalent of a $30-$40 product.
Yeah.
So it is of course very nice, but it is not something that we can practically afford right now. If you see the amount of subscribers that we have on the cloud, which is like well over 6,000, and we see the demographic, like we see the distribution where those subscribers are, like you can clearly see that the potential of growing that subscribers base in the countries where it's already there, it's enormous.
Yeah.
So for us, making the effort of making the platform itself available in those countries with like where a $10 or a €10 subscription doesn't make sense because it is way too expensive, is simply not that worthy right now. And what we can do instead for what those people can benefit from is the fact that a lot of the content is released with very permissive and open licenses, so you can actually get a lot of it anyway from other channels. So it's a little bit of a compromise. And even if you look at the biggest companies in the world, like how they offer their services, like how does Netflix do their pricing, it's really, really tricky, and it tends to be pretty even out. So then in the end, it's a very fair question, but like if you look at how much an iPhone costs in India, or like how much does a Netflix or whatever other subscription cost there, there is always going to be a certain gap. So the answer is like, for now we stick to dollars and euros, and that it has been covering pretty well, and we have still a lot of potential for like growing the user base with the current pricing, which I think for what you can find on the Blender Cloud, by the way, it's pretty nice.
All right, thank you. And even then, sometimes they change the prices anyway. Netflix used to have it in pesos in Argentina, and then the dollar went crazy. Well, peso. Argentina went down, and they adjusted again, so it's not even that good anymore. It's been a great... I think we are on time. It's 5 minutes past the hour. It's 12 past 6 p.m. So... how's everybody doing? How Francesco, how are you doing? How is working from home? Is compared to working from the office?
I think for me, I mean, everybody, like what Pablico was saying, the nightmare of the meetings is like, despite trying to keep things to a minimum, the amount of conversations that you have to do, I feel it's a little bit higher, because you can't be very nuanced when you are remote. You really need to go into someone's space and say, how are you doing? And, talk to people. And the fact that, especially for my job, that involves very often, like, I'm sitting in the office and then somebody comes in and we had a chat, or like I just walk around and see how people are doing. Right now, I do all this by sitting in front of the computer or standing in front of the computer, which is not ideal, I think. Like,
no.
me it feels
less humane.
It's like a little bit like more effort to achieve the same result, basically. But I'm super happy with, at least we are able to make things work, and that is the most important thing. And everybody seems to be able to, function and not be too terribly unhappy. So yeah, that's my experience currently.
Wow, but for this you actually had to you drove, you took all the computers in a van and you took them home to everybody that needed a computer at the home.
Yeah, hoping that I was not carrying any kind of virus with me at the time. It was still fairly early, so
yeah, that was
like, okay, either I'm hand delivering to everyone their computer with the corona on it, or not. So far, nothing happened.
It's been for 3-4 weeks, so I think it's safe to say it was fine. But yeah, that would have been such an unfortunate situation. But thank you for doing that, bringing everybody their workstation home. So I think with that, I am about to call it a day. I'm gonna thank you guys for bringing all this knowledge here. It's been very nice, even like it's split into different sections, from the modeling, the texturing, the animation, the shading. When can we expect the next character, like not final, but at least just to see it? I'm very intrigued. I want to see the next one.
I'll probably post my current modeling process tomorrow.
Ooh.
So yeah, I mean, whatever I'm doing, I'm gonna post on a daily basis. So and now that my work basically is wrapped up with Coffee Run, I'm going to work the entire week on Settlers.
Wow, so you're done with Coffee Run?
Basically, unless there's like some extra tweaks that need to be done, I guess I can make some adjustments, but the main project is now Settlers.
Awesome. So Coffee Run is getting there. Now who's working on Coffee Run? Andy and Hjalti then, I guess.
Yeah, Hjalti is also basically wrapped up. So it's really getting to
rendering.
The point where it's like, yeah, almost.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Awesome. Character variation. That's so many things. Nice. All right. Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to it already.
Yeah.
Also, all right. So I'm gonna expect it maybe tomorrow, the next video on the Blender Cloud. Remember, this is available for everybody, and it's open source. It's free and open source. Creative Commons. You can share it, do whatever you want with it. Make your own character, make your own animation, even like take this character, make it your own, change it. So that is the beauty of this project. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And guys also online. I see Andy is also online. Thank you. Hjalti, if you're watching, and Vivian, that you were here hanging out before. Thanks, everybody. Looking forward to what you have to show. All right. I gonna drop by the conversation and just say bye to the community. So, ciao.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Bye-bye. Okay, full screen. Now we are here. Alone again. How was it for you? Was it fun? I think it went even super smooth. It's like the segues between one topic to the other, like, oh, the production, modeling, shading, rigging, everything. All the questions, most of the questions were about rigging. I think it's a topic that we could maybe dive into deeper in the next week, maybe, or the week after, if I get Dimitar maybe, and some other, who else does rigging in the community that you think it would be nice to have here in the live streams. I think we are doing pretty great. It was a great week so far. Tomorrow we have the Q&A of developers, so everything that was missing during the week. I know that it's a bit confusing sometimes, that it's a art live stream or a code live stream, and then Blender questions get in the way. But tomorrow's the day. Let's do it again, same place, same time tomorrow, for this that we called Blender to the Everyday. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gracias, everybody. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.